All right, so I have a question for you. If you've started learning the Bach Prelude or if you tried learning it in the past, in terms of the left hand, you just felt either a little overwhelmed with all the notes and you couldn't kind of get to each note quickly enough, or that you just couldn't make the flow of the music smooth enough, satisfying for you musically. If that's the case, I would say don't worry, you are not alone at all, because I think the number one mistake people make with the left hand in the Bach Prelude is they learn one note at a time. That may not be the biggest problem initially, but if you start playing the piece and you're processing one note at a time only, it's going to limit how fast you can play, and it's also going to limit how smoothly you can play. Fortunately, I have two kind of strategies / solutions for in terms of left-hand technique that we can talk about that will drastically improve this situation. Before we dive right in, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. First technique I can offer you is called barring notes. Okay, and what that is basically any finger on your left hand, if you just bar it across, okay, horizontally, so 2 strings usually, sometimes 3 strings people will bar, but usually 2. Basically, you're putting your finger down and it's 2 for 1. So you're getting 2 notes that you can now play instead of 1. Where that's going to come in so handy is, for example, in bar 5 of the Prelude, when you have, so in my bowing where I have 3 notes slurred, I want a very smooth sound. If I don't bar the notes, there's basically no way for me to slur those notes and have it smooth, because I will have to hop with my first finger. That's the first thing I would offer, is starting to bar notes when possible. A little warning is this usually is a little more tense than if you're only holding down a single note. So if you do bar notes, which I highly encourage, I would say only bar notes as long as you have to, and once you can release that, go ahead and release it. It's like kind of a temporary bridge you build between 2 notes to make it easier, and then remove it. All right, let's talk about number 2, guitar chords. Okay, so what are guitar chords? That's my word for it, because when I think of guitars, they'll play a chord and then boom, their hand instantly shifts all at the same time. All the fingers land in a new place for a new chord. So that's what I want to encourage you to think about whenever it happens with the Bach Prelude. There are 2 benefits to this. The first benefit is that you can grab more than 1 note at the same time. So grouping notes like that and thinking of it that way really helps cut down the amount of brain processing you're going to have to do note by note. Secondly, with the guitar chords, you can start to develop hand shapes that will drastically simplify what's going on from bar to bar. The best example to explain this would be the first 4 bars of the Bach Prelude. So let's just jump right into that. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So in bar 1, the guitar chord would be formed by the first 3 notes of bar 1. Okay, so that's open G, open D, and B. Okay, nice, beautiful G major chord. So that's my guitar chord. That's my hand shape that I'm going to use. It doesn't mean that this is all the notes in bar 1. I'm aware there are more notes, but this will put you in perfect position to play all the notes in that bar. Moving on to bar 2, I could just start moving my hand around and finding the notes, with my fingers. I lift everything off and now I'm grabbing all the notes. Or, since I just played, my first finger is in perfect position. It's just on the wrong string for bar 2. So I move first finger over to the D string to play E, and I add 2 on the C on the A string. And there is my guitar chord, my hand shape for bar 2. Okay? So it's in relation to bar 1. I just shifted fingers over. Let's do the same thing for bar 3. So bar 3, I need a third finger on F sharp. Again, this is playing the first 3 notes of each bar. So here's F sharp on the D string, and now just because I'll need it later, I'm going to go ahead and take first finger, put it back on the A string. So I added 3 on the D, and I moved 1 back onto the A. Now, there's our guitar chord for bar 3, and now finally, to get bar 4, I'm going to add 4 and add 2 to the D string. So I'll have only 1 on the A string, and now I have 2, 3, and 4 on the D string. Great. Now I'll just play these 4 chords, back to back, so you can kind of hear what it's going to sound like. So I hope that shows you how much easier it can be to get the notes, get ready to play the notes of each bar if you adjust in one kind of bigger hand motion and you do it in relation to the notes you were just playing. And that's where the guitar chords are going to come into play. To prove my point, let's go ahead and we'll just pizzicato through the first 4 bars. Here's bar 1, 1, 2, here we go. Okay, so basically, this is the most obvious. I have my guitar chord, it's just my first finger there on B. All I'm thinking about is lifting and dropping the B up and down to expose the open A string, and there we go. That's the whole bar. Now, let's talk about bar 2. So bar 2 is a little interesting. I talked about the guitar chord. We're going to go ahead and put 1 over onto the D string on the E, and this is where we're going to now make a slight adjustment to the guitar chord I mentioned. We're going to bar 1 across, because pretty soon we're going to need a B natural. We bar 1 and we play, and then we put 2 on the A string. Now we've got all the notes covered for bar 2. So let's hear bar 2, 2, here we go. Great, so relax that barred finger. And now we'll just move to bar 3. So all I would do, like I said, is I would add 3rd finger onto the D string, bring 1 back over onto the A string because it doesn't have to bar notes anymore. We're ready for bar 3. Ready, and... So essentially here, once I've got my guitar chord here, this shape, all I'm thinking about is when I'm going to lift and drop just the 2nd finger. So the 3rd finger and the 1st finger are just going to stay put, and then I'm just timing when I lift and drop too. That can take a little bit of time in terms of coordination, so you might start trying this and be like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, this is way harder. Okay, so it's harder at first probably, but it really pays off if you can do it, okay? So just practice having 3 and 1 down and then lifting and dropping 2, okay? And then finally, bar 4, like I said, you bring 4 over, 2, 3, and 4 on the D string, 1 on the A string. Ready, and... and that F sharp, don't forget that, because that's the thing that's like, he breaks the pattern. So, and that, again, bar 4, all I'm thinking about is lifting and dropping the 1st finger. This is not going to be every bar of the Bach Prelude, but it is many of the bars, okay? And it really helps. Give it a try. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section below, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thanks so much.